Hello and welcome to my podcast, Become. My name is Sabine Kvenberg and I am your host. The content will inspire you to reach your aspirations and become the best version of yourself. I feature interviews with successful individuals from various industries delving into their personal and professional journey, how they overcame adversities and the strategies they used to achieve their goals. We have to become the person we are meant to be first, so we can live the life we are destined to live. That also means we must overcome challenges and work through difficult times to learn, grow, and become the next, more fabulous version of ourselves. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get on this journey together. Thank you for tuning in today. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we would appreciate if you could give us a 5-star rating and leave a short comment on the platform that you listen to this podcast. And one more thing. I rarely ask, but then again, I have to walk my talk. If you don't ask for sure, you never know if you would have gotten a response. So here we go. It takes a lot of time, effort, and financial obligation to put together a podcast that is free to listen to. And in that respect, we are grateful for anyone who supports us, especially financially. So how can you do that? Very simple. You can either become a sponsor promoting your business or simply hit the donate button on our webpage. And in the spirit of the season, I have a very special thank you gift for you. If you give $50 and above, I will send you a copy of our best-selling book, The Musical Imprint, Stories and Pivotal Moments Connected to a Song. And I personally autograph it for you. If you're ready to donate, you will find the link in the show notes or just simply go to podpage.com/become. So without any further ado, let's get into our episode. Hello and welcome to our show Become, where I always have special guests that share their expertise and their journey of becoming their next greater self. Today, my special guest is Scherrie Prince, and she is an attorney, coach, and speaker. Welcome, Scherrie. How are you?
I am doing exceptionally well, so much better now that I'm speaking with you.
Oh, that is wonderful. And before we go into some of the questions that I have and into your journey, why don't you give our audience just a quick overview of who you are and what you do?
Well, you gave me a great introduction. I am an asset protection coach and also an attorney, and most people that know me personally just refer to me as Madison and Dylan's mama. Um, so I help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and business owners with their estate plan and their business plan.
You said asset protection is not just financial strategy, but also a profoundly personal mission. Did something happen along the way that kind of got you into becoming a lawyer?
Definitely. Growing up, my mother had just been sick from the time that I can remember. And she ultimately passed away at the age of 36 when I was just 16 years old.
Wow.
So for the longest time, I lived with my grandparents. And when they passed away, they didn't have a will or a trust. And there was just a series of things that happened that really paved the way for me to go into the study of law.
So what happened to people that maybe get a phone call said, "Hey, your relative passed away," and but there was no will. So what happened if there is no will?
Well, government has a plan for how your estate passes if you die without a will or a trust. And so where I live, if you don't have a will or a trust, it goes in equal shares to your descendants or your heirs. And that's what happened in my case. Now, with my mother dying before her parents, my brother and I received her portion of my grandparents' estate. we're talking about 150 plus acres to be divided equally into 5 shares. And so, sometimes things are great with family until money and stuff comes into play. And a lot of that just really informed my decision to practice law.
Yeah, I can only imagine. We know every time there is money in the game somewhere, relationships can even break.
And
And
that's what
that
happened. Yeah.
is, yeah, really, what happened?
Well, even though the law lays out what happens, you have some people who may feel like they deserve more or they deserve, a better portion. And so there were disagreements about that. There was other, you know, finances and liquid cash and assets that were attached to the estate, personal items that went missing. And I really used that as an opportunity to learn as much as I could. And I realized my family is not the only family going through this. So I educated myself, I went to school, and I started helping people that I felt were just like me or in a similar situation.
That's oftentimes the best way when we feel this is our mission or our calling. But I also believe that there must be something intrinsic within you that you wanted to do that you enjoyed it, because it's not necessarily because there was a bad experience that all of a sudden we have to go into learning something. So tell me about that. What was the driving factor besides going through this experience? Do you enjoy law?
I do. I definitely do. And it's interesting because, at one point my kids asked, "What do I do?" And I was like, "Mommy solves other people's problems." And I enjoy figuring things out and finding creative solutions to help people. And when I started working almost exclusively with entrepreneurs, because I had started several businesses as a young adult, and I just started to see how necessary it was, because it's not just when you pass away without owning a business, but you have so many more layers if you do own a business or businesses. So I really found that to be enjoyable.
Yeah, that is a great lead in to another layer besides having just a protection or having a will, because a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this podcast or watching my video channel, and there are a lot of questions on the legal side when you start a business. Can you give us your point of view as far as strategies that every entrepreneur should know before starting a business, or at least while they're having their business and now rethinking their strategies on the legal side?
Definitely. And I'll just give you a story of my very first business. And mind you, this is after my grandparents passed away. My very first business, around 21, I had a partner. And one day, my partner's wife walked in and told me that he was no longer my partner. She was taking over his shares of the business. But we basically started business with a handshake. And we did not have a very solid, and this is like, I didn't go to law school till sometime later. I was about 30 when I went to law school. And so I did not have a legal background at that time. I just knew I did not want to be in business with the spouse of my partner because I didn't know her. And the plans that we had set up for the business were not the same. And I knew something wasn't just quite right, but I didn't know how to remedy it, so we dissolved the partnership. And I was like, okay, I have to be better prepared for business in the future. And so the first thing that I would tell people, one, have a plan in writing. Because we had a plan, but it was not in writing. We had a handshake. So that is the very first thing. There are things you just do not plan for. And so if you're talking about from the perspective of a business owner, your plan needs to include the right type of entity, because sometimes we think that, okay, I can just do this without the help of an attorney and you'll create an entity for your business, but you don't know how to protect yourself based on what that entity allows you to do. So the second tip that I would give people is to always work with a team, because just like it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a team to grow your business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You have to have your legal, financial, marketing team,
Insurance, yeah,
it
insurance.
insurance. Yes, yes. So, number one, always have a contract. Number two, make sure you have the right legal entity that protects your business. And what is tip number three?
Tip number three, do not go into business being undercapitalized. Make sure that whatever business you're going into, that you have a cushion and a plan for a cushion as you grow. I'm not a financial advisor, but these are just some common sense things because as you grow, you're going to have operating cost, marketing cost, and when you talk about building a moat around your assets, that's not free. There are some free things that you can do, but there's an expense involved in it. So just make sure that you are not undercapitalized because that will affect your plan as well.
When you think back at your life, was there a time in your life that you really went to a dark place or you had such a huge challenge, adversity that you really had to work through it, that was challenging, perhaps even sometimes so traumatic, or maybe it got you into a place where you thought you could not go through, but you went through anyways. So share with us maybe one or two examples that can help us understand how or what you did to get through there to get to the other side.
I would say that around '07, '08, when there was this, the huge mortgage debacle in the States and the banks were failing. At the time, I had two businesses, and for a year, I did not make a dime. Seriously. And I lost everything during that time, and I had to rebuild. And it got so bad that I literally had to go live with my brother for 6 months and then rebuild. And I had never faced anything like that. And that's when I went to law school. I stayed with him for 6 months. I regrouped, and then I went to law school. But at that time, I had a toddler. Well, not even a toddler. My son was 6 months old, and my
Wow.
daughter was 3.5. And I was a full time student. I went from owning businesses to losing everything because at the time I was a real estate broker and a mortgage broker. And those were the industries that were the most affected by the mortgage debacle. And it really gave me some perspective because I'm used to walking into meetings, running meetings. And at that time, I was not totally prepared. So, fast forward, we've had the issue with my grandparents, the issue with one of my early businesses, and now I'm having to start back at zero with two small children. So, I would have to say that would be the most difficult time. Um, and I turned it around by just refocusing, and that made the difference.
Yeah, it's so great what you said, refocusing, and that's what we have to do. We have to shift. Um, would you say that that experience, all the past experience that really led up to all of a sudden moving back with your brother or moving in with your brother, did you feel that, did you feel as a failure? Was that crossing your mind? And how did you get through that?
I would say I felt like a failure. I'm a person of faith. And I just, anyone who knows the story of Job, I did not have a full Job experience because he lost, like, literally his family and everything. But I do believe that you can be restored. And I just believe that if you work, all work works. So I just kept working. And I knew that I would be okay because I kept working and because of my faith. And so it helped me really to rebuild and really to come out stronger because I don't know that if that, had not happened, if I'd be in the position that I'm in today, I might have been doing the same thing at the same level. But now I feel like I'm playing bigger, faster, and I'm doing better. So it really was a blessing.
Yes, I love that. What you just said, that because of what happens, you came out on the other side even stronger. So, what do you do today? How do you help others?
Today, I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and solopreneurs build a moat around their assets by merging their business plan with their estate plan. And it may sound a little fancy, but I just pretty much help them to tap into who they are and what assets they own and put them together and put a big, hug around them and a shield so that creditors can't get them and that they can actually be left to the people that they desire to have them.
Oh, I wish I would have known you in those years when I started building a second business and I got into real estate just about the right time before it crashed. And but I did not listen. I did not have a legal team that said I would not use all your assets as a security, which I did. And I lost a lot of assets, including our personal home. And that is painful.
Oh, it definitely is. And one thing that I found, there is no shame in telling people about your setbacks because sometimes your setbacks are your setups. It's like, do you have the humility to share? Because there's someone else who's out there who may be going through something else and feeling like, well, I just can't do it. I lost everything, or I'm not able to move forward. I did a pivot, like literally. Not even after I went to law school. At that time, I still had an MBA, and we had to go on food stamps. And I worked for 5.25 an hour just to keep my
Mm.
food stamps to feed my family while I'm in law school. And so when I tell you that I'm grateful and that helping people not make the same mistakes, because the biggest thing that I see is that I was not able to see it coming. In hindsight, I had friends who saw the decline coming and they saw that, okay, the markets are getting weak and, there's trouble coming, but I didn't see it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said that. I'm really glad because, yes, there's no shame in having a setback, in failing. I call it failing forward
Yes.
because all those experiences and what you just said so eloquently and so bland, straightforward that, well, I didn't see it coming. And I didn't see it coming. Many people didn't see it coming. And if we have someone else, if we have a team, as you so wonderfully said at the beginning, we have check and balances. And that will help us maybe prevent it. But as you said, you are so grateful because otherwise you perhaps wouldn't be where you are today. I wouldn't be here where I am today. And now helping so many other coaches and businesses to not do the same mistakes, right? And that's one of the things we can never forget when we have failures in our lives, so to speak. So, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
So, the best way, if you need to get a hold of me, is my website. And that's just www.scherrie prince.com. That's scherrieprince.com. I also have a free Facebook group, and we just, raise our hands and ask questions, and we help each other and we support each other as we grow and learn how to protect our assets. And the name of that group is Entrepreneurs, Small Business Owners, and Solopreneurs. So those are the two easiest ways to catch me, either in the group or just at my website.
Wonderful. And I'll make sure to have your information in the show notes as well. So, if there would be one last thing you want to share with us at this point, what would that be?
To play big faster. Because no matter what it is that you want to do in your life, the time is going to still continue to pass. And so I challenge you, whatever that thing is, do it today. Because the best time to plant a tree, if not 10 years ago, is today. So definitely play big faster.
I love it. Mic drop for that one. Well, thank you so much, Scherrie, for being here and sharing your wisdom and sharing your story with us. And I wish you all the best for your next leg in life, so to speak. And thank you for being here with our audience today.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was my interview. And if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart, follow your passion, and live the life you imagine.